The fluorescent lights of the downtown metro station flickered overhead as Marcus Webb stood before the flower vendor's cart, counting his last bills with trembling fingers. $7, 3 singles. The crumpled receipt from his daughter's prescription still clutched between them. $480 he didn't have, extended on credit by a pharmacist who knew desperation when she saw it. These, Marcus said, pointing to a modest bouquet of white daisies. How much? The elderly vendor studied him with eyes that had witnessed 1,000 last chances. 12. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Behind him, the 6:47 train was arriving. The one that would get him to Antonio's bistro by 7. The one that would get him to her. I have 10, Marcus said quietly. The vendor's weathered hand reached across the cart. Then I have daisies for 10. 20 minutes later, Marcus emerged from the metro onto Fifth Avenue, where glass towers stretched toward a darkening sky like the fingers of giants counting their gold. His reflection caught in the polished window of a hedge fund office, worn canvas jacket over a thrift store button-down, daisies wrapped in brown paper, shoes he'd polished 3 times to hide the cracks. He looked like exactly what he was, a man who cleaned offices for a living, stepping into a world that was never meant for him. His phone buzzed. Another text from his daughter's school. Mr. Webb, we need to discuss Lily's absences. She's missed 12 days this semester. This is affecting her education and our ability to keep her enrolled. Marcus closed his eyes. 12 days. 12 days of hospital visits, specialist appointments, and a diagnosis that had shattered his world into before and after. Retinitis pigmentosa. Progressive, irreversible. His 8-year-old daughter was going blind, and he was standing on Fifth Avenue with $10 flowers, about to meet a woman from a dating app he'd almost deleted a dozen times. The glass door of Antonio's bistro swung open before him. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, sommelier discussing vintage years with a couple who probably spent more on wine than Marcus made in 6 months. Reservation? The hostess's smile was professional ice, Webb. Table for 2. 7 o'clock. Her finger traced down the tablet, paused. Mr. Webb, yes, your guest has already arrived. Right this way. The way she said guest made something in Marcus's stomach turn. They weaved between tables where deals were sealed over Chilean sea bass and rare whiskey, where people who'd never counted their last $10 discussed their third homes and philanthropic ventures. And then, at a corner table with a view of the city lights, he saw her. She was smaller than her profile photo suggested. Dark hair pulled back in a way that seemed both effortless and expensive. A navy dress that Marcus's mother would have called quietly elegant. But it was her eyes that stopped him. Sharp. Intelligent. Carrying a weight that profile pictures couldn't capture. She was also on the phone, speaking in rapid, controlled bursts. I don't care what the board thinks, Richard. Virtue Core's patents are worthless if we can't prove market applicability. I want the Henderson team's research on my desk by Monday, or I'll find people who actually understand what due diligence means. She looked up, saw Marcus, and something shifted in her expression. The phone lowered. I have to go, she said, and ended the call. Marcus stood there, suddenly aware of every eye in the restaurant that wasn't quite looking at him, but was somehow still judging. The daisies felt like a joke in his hand. You must be Marcus, she said, standing. Her handshake was firm, confident. I'm Claire. Sorry I'm late. The metro was, you're not late. I'm early. Occupational hazard. She gestured to the chair across from her. Please. Marcus sat, setting the flowers on the table between them like a white flag of surrender. Claire's eyes dropped to the daisies. For a terrible moment, she said nothing. I know they're not much, Marcus started. They're perfect, she said, and something in her voice made him look up. My mother grew daisies. In our garden before... She stopped herself, touched one of the petals with a finger that wore no rings. Thank you. The waiter appeared with menus that had no prices. Signore, signora, may I recommend... Just water for me, Marcus said quickly. I ate before. The lie tasted bitter, but the truth was worse. He'd spent his meal budget on flowers. Claire studied him for a moment that stretched too long. Actually, we'll have the antipasto plate to start. And your house wine, the Montepulciano. 2 glasses. Claire, she held up a hand. You showed up with flowers. The least I can do is not let you starve while pretending otherwise. Her smile was small, almost sad. Besides, I've been in enough business meetings to recognize the I can't afford this menu face. Marcus felt heat rise to his cheeks. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have suggested this place. I just thought, you thought I'd want somewhere nice. You were right. She leaned forward. But for the record? The best first date I ever had was at a food truck in Queens. The guy brought me a $2 rose from a bodega. It died before dessert, but I kept the receipt. What happened to him? He turned out to be married. Claire took a sip of water. But the rose was lovely while it lasted. Marcus found himself almost smiling. Almost. His phone buzzed again. He tried to ignore it, but Claire's eyes flicked to his pocket. If you need to get that, it's fine. Another buzz. Then another. Marcus. Claire's voice was gentle but firm. It's clearly not fine. He pulled out the phone. 3 texts from Valley Medical Center. Mr. Webb, this is Dr. Hernandez's office. We have an opening for a consultation regarding Lily's treatment options. Please call us back ASAP. The consultation must be scheduled within 72 hours, or we'll have to push to next quarter. Mr. Webb, this concerns time-sensitive treatment protocols. Please respond. Claire watched his face change. Bad news? Marcus set the phone face down. It's my daughter. Is she okay? The question was simple. The answer was anything but. She's 8, Marcus said slowly. And she's losing her vision. Retinitis pigmentosa. By the time she's 12, maybe sooner, she'll be completely blind. Claire's expression didn't change. But something in her stillness told Marcus she was listening in a way most people didn't. The doctors say there's a treatment, experimental, gene therapy trials at Johns Hopkins. But he laughed, a sound without humor. It's not covered by insurance. It's not covered by anything. It's $340,000 for the full protocol. The numbers sat between them like a tombstone. So you're here, Claire said quietly, on a Friday night spending your last $10 on flowers, when you should be figuring out how to save your daughter's eyesight. It wasn't a question. Marcus met her eyes. I'm here because for the last 8 months, every moment of my life has been about doctors, bills, and watching my daughter be brave about something no kid should have to be brave about. And I thought, maybe for one night, I could remember what it felt like to be a person. Not just a dad who's failing. You're not failing. I'm a janitor, Claire. I clean corporate offices in Midtown. I make $38,000 a year. My daughter needs $340,000. The math is pretty clear. Claire was quiet for a long moment. The waiter appeared with the antipasto plate and wine, set them down with a whisper of expensive service, and vanished. What offices do you clean? Claire asked. It was such an odd question that Marcus almost laughed. Why does that matter? Humor me. Harrington Tower, the financial district. I'm there 5 nights a week, midnight to 6 a.m. He took a sip of wine he couldn't taste. I empty your trash cans and vacuum your boardrooms and polish the glass on offices where people make my yearly salary before lunch. Harrington Tower, Claire repeated. Something flickered across her face. You work for Meridian Cleaning Services? You know them? I know a lot of things. Claire picked up her wine glass, studied the dark liquid. Tell me something, Marcus. In all those nights cleaning offices in Harrington Tower, have you ever wondered what's actually in those trash cans? What ends up on those desks? What kinds of conversations happen in those boardrooms after everyone goes home? Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Sometimes, and I keep my head down, do my job, and don't ask questions that could get me fired. Claire smiled, but it wasn't a happy expression. Smart man. She set down her glass and leaned back. Her fingers steepled in a gesture that suddenly reminded Marcus of every executive he'd ever seen through the glass walls of a conference room at 2 a.m. I need to tell you something, Claire said, and after I do, you're probably going to want to leave. But I'm asking you, please hear me out first. Marcus's hand tightened on his water glass. Okay, my full name is Claire Harrington Wade. I'm the CEO of Harrington Industries. The building you clean, I own it. The offices you empty, some of them are mine. And I'm not on this dating app because I'm looking for love. She paused. I'm looking for something else entirely. The restaurant noise faded to white static. Marcus stared at the woman across from him. This woman who'd accepted his $10 flowers and ordered wine and pretended, for 20 minutes, to be someone normal. You're, he started, a millionaire. Actually, if we're being accurate, I'm worth about $340 million. Give or take. Claire's voice was steady, clinical. I inherited Harrington Industries from my father 6 years ago. I've spent every day since trying to turn it into something that isn't just another corporate vulture, feeding on patents and startups. Marcus pushed his chair back. This was a mistake. Marcus, wait, you knew who I was. You knew where I worked. This whole thing was what? Research? Entertainment? Let's see how the janitor reacts when the CEO buys him dinner? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Claire? Marcus was standing now, aware that other diners were starting to notice. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you set up an elaborate trap, and I walked right into it with my clearance rack jacket and my $10 flowers. Claire stood too, her voice low but intense. I set up a dinner because 3 weeks ago my head of security came to me with a problem. Someone's been accessing restricted files in our building. Someone who has after-hours clearance, who knows the security patterns, who's smart enough to cover their tracks but not quite smart enough to disappear completely. Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. At first, we thought it was corporate espionage, Claire continued, a rival company planting someone in the cleaning crew. But then we started looking closer. And do you know what we found? Marcus couldn't speak. We found that this person, this ghost in our system, wasn't stealing financial records or product designs. They were accessing medical research files, specifically, files related to experimental gene therapy treatments, files from our biotech division's partnership with Johns Hopkins. The world tilted. We found search patterns, Claire said quietly. Retinitis pigmentosa, pediatric applications, trial eligibility requirements, cost breakdowns, all accessed from a terminal in conference room 7B, always between 2 and 3 a.m., always on nights when the building's security logs show only one person on that floor. She paused. The janitor assigned to the executive level. Marcus Webb. Marcus's mouth was dry. I can explain. You don't need to explain anything. I know exactly what you were doing. Claire's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. You were trying to save your daughter. I didn't steal anything. I needed to know if there was a chance. If there was any way, sit down, Marcus. I should go. I should sit down. It wasn't harsh, but it was a command from someone used to being obeyed. Marcus sat. Claire remained standing, her hands flat on the table, her eyes locked on his. You accessed those files 53 times over the past 8 months. You never copied anything, never downloaded, never forwarded. You just read research papers, trial protocols, success rates. She shook her head slowly. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Someone with access to information worth millions, who takes nothing but knowledge? I wasn't trying to steal from you, I know. That's why I'm here. Claire finally sat back down. That's why I created a dating profile with just enough information to seem real, but anonymous. That's why I swiped right when your profile came up. That's why I suggested this restaurant even though I knew you probably couldn't afford it. So this was all... Marcus felt sick. This was all an investigation. No, Claire's voice was fierce. This was all a job interview, Marcus blinked. What? You've been walking through my building for 2 years, Marcus. I pulled your employment records. Associate's degree in computer science from City College. Abandoned after 1 semester. No criminal record. References from your previous employer that describe you as meticulous, intelligent, and wasted on janitorial work. A daughter with a medical condition that's bankrupting you. And a mind sharp enough to hack into a Fortune 500 company's secured medical research database without tripping a single alarm until someone thought to look for patterns. I didn't hack anything. I just found an open terminal one night. An executive left their session active. I was just going to log them out, but then you saw the file names, and you got curious. And you're smart enough to understand the research you were reading. Claire smiled. Don't insult both of us by pretending you're just a janitor who got lucky. Marcus felt like he was drowning. What do you want from me? I want to know who you really are. Claire leaned forward. Because the janitor story? I don't buy it. Computer science degree, even incomplete? Reading advanced gene therapy research papers and understanding them? Accessing secure systems without leaving a trail? She shook her head. That's not a janitor. That's someone who chose to disappear. The silence stretched between them, filled with the ambient noise of a restaurant where neither of them belonged, for entirely different reasons. I used to work in tech, Marcus said finally. Software development. Small firm in Silicon Valley. This was 10 years ago, before Lily, before everything. He stared at his hands. I was good. Really good. We were developing security protocols for financial institutions, encryption algorithms. I had offers from Google, Amazon, Apple. What happened? I found out my CEO was selling our client data to the highest bidder. Not just selling it, weaponizing it. Our encryption was supposed to protect people's financial information. Instead, he was using backdoors I'd built for system maintenance to siphon off transaction records, social security numbers, everything. Then packaging it and selling it to identity theft rings. Claire's expression didn't change, but Marcus saw her hand tighten around her wine glass. I went to the police, Marcus continued. I had evidence, code samples, transaction logs, everything they needed for a conviction. You know what happened? He had better lawyers. He had better everything. 6 months later, I was the one facing charges. Computer fraud, corporate espionage. They said I'd planted the evidence to cover my own theft. My lawyer said we could fight it, but it would take years and cost more than I'd ever make. Marcus laughed bitterly, so I took a plea deal. No jail time, but a permanent mark on my record. No tech company would touch me. I couldn't even get a job fixing computers at Best Buy. So you became a janitor. I became invisible. Marcus met her eyes. I changed my name, legally, everything above board. Moved to New York, started over, met Lily's mom, had a daughter. Thought maybe I could build a normal life. Then Lily's mom left and the medical bills started. And suddenly, invisible meant poor in ways I never imagined. Claire was quiet for a long moment. The CEO who framed you. What was his name? Why does it matter? Because I do business with a lot of people, Marcus. And I like to know who the snakes are. Derek Ashford, VirtueCore Technologies. Though I heard the company folded a few years back. Something flashed across Claire's face. Surprise, recognition. Something else Marcus couldn't read. VirtueCore, she said slowly. Derek Ashford, you know him? I know of him. Claire's voice had gone very cold. We're currently in negotiations to acquire what's left of VirtueCore's patent portfolio. Due diligence phase. My team's been combing through their records for the past 3 months. Marcus felt something electric snap in the air between them. What kind of patents? He asked. Medical technology, specifically gene therapy delivery systems. VirtueCore pivoted to biotech after their software division collapsed. Apparently, their founder had a genius working for him who developed revolutionary encryption protocols. Claire's eyes locked on his. Protocols that could theoretically be adapted to encode genetic sequences for targeted cellular delivery. Marcus's mind was racing. The encryption I built wasn't just for financial data. The algorithms were designed to be adaptive. Modular, I wrote them to. Work with any complex data structure, including genetic code. Including genetic code, Claire. Set down her wine glass with a soft clink. Marcus, I'm going to tell you something that should stay in this restaurant. Can I trust you? You just told me you've been investigating me for weeks. I think trust is a relative concept here. Fair point. She smiled grimly. 3 months ago, our biotech division made a breakthrough in gene therapy delivery for retinal diseases. Specifically retinitis pigmentosa. The treatment works. In trials, we're seeing 87% vision preservation in patients under 12. Marcus's heart stopped. The problem, Claire continued, is that the delivery system is inefficient. We lose too much of the genetic material in transit to the target cells. To make the treatment work, we need massive doses of the therapy, which is why the cost is $340,000 per patient. It's not sustainable, it's not scalable, and it means most families can't access it. But if you had a better encryption algorithm, Marcus said slowly, one that could package the genetic sequence more efficiently, We could reduce the required dose by potentially 80%, which means we could reduce the cost by 80%. Their eyes met across the table. Virtue Core's patents, Marcus said. The encryption protocols. Those are mine. I built them. And Derek Ashford claimed them as his own when he framed you. They're currently part of Virtue Core's bankruptcy assets, which means they're about to be sold to the highest bidder. Claire leaned forward. My company is bidding $200 million for the portfolio, but we're competing against Helix Pharma, a company that would absolutely use those patents to maintain high treatment costs and maximize profit. So you need to win the bid. I need to win the bid. And I need the original developer, the person who actually understands how those algorithms work, to adapt them for genetic therapy applications. She paused. I need you, Marcus. Marcus sat back, his head spinning. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a chance to save your daughter and thousands of kids like her. I'm offering you a chance to take back what Derek Ashford stole from you. And yes, I'm offering you a job as a senior consultant on our biotech encryption team. Starting salary, $180,000, plus full medical benefits for you and Lily, including immediate coverage for experimental treatments. It was too much. Too fast, too perfect, why? Marcus asked. Why not just hire someone else? Someone without my baggage? Because I've spent 6 years running my father's company, Claire said quietly. And I've learned that the people worth hiring are the ones who've already been burned. They know what failure costs. They know what betrayal looks like. They don't make mistakes out of carelessness. They make mistakes out of caring too much. She reached across the table, her hand stopping just short of his. I don't need an employee, Marcus. I need someone who understands what's at stake. And what's at stake? Everything. Claire's voice dropped. Derek Ashford didn't just steal your work and frame you. He's the one brokering the Virtue Core patent sale. He's consulting for Helix Pharma. If they win the bid, he gets a percentage of the deal and controlling influence over how the patents are used. Her eyes were hard. He'll bury the technology rather than let it help people. 'Cause helping people doesn't make money. Keeping them desperate does. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. Old rage, buried rage. The kind that had festered for 10 years while he mopped floors and pretended to be someone small. What do you need me to do? Claire pulled a folder from her bag. Expensive leather, monogrammed with her initials. She set it on the table between them. In 4 days, there's a closed-door presentation to Virtue Core's bankruptcy trustee. Each bidding company gets 2 hours to make their case for why they should get the patents. Helix is going first. We're going second. She opened the folder. Inside were technical documents, patent applications, code samples. I need you to review these patents and find something my team missed. A weakness, an error, something that proves Derek Ashford didn't create this technology. He stole it. You want me to testify? I want you to reclaim your work, publicly, with evidence. And then I want you to show the trustee how we're going to use it to revolutionize gene therapy treatment. Claire's smile was sharp. I want to watch Derek Ashford lose everything he stole from you while you save your daughter's eyesight. Marcus stared at the folder. His hands were shaking. If I do this, he said slowly, Ashford will come after me again. He destroyed me once. He'll do it again, probably, but this time you won't be alone. You'll have the best legal team in Manhattan. You'll have resources. And you'll have me. Claire's voice softened. I told you my mother grew daisies. What I didn't tell you is that she died of a rare genetic disorder when I was 16. The treatment existed. It was experimental, prohibitively expensive. My father could have afforded it, but he was too busy building his empire to notice she was dying. She touched the flowers again, her fingers gentle on the white petals. I don't do this job for the money, Marcus. I do it because I couldn't save her. But maybe I can help you save Lily. The restaurant spun around them. Other diners, other conversations, other lives being lived in worlds that suddenly seemed very far away. I need to think about this, Marcus said. You have until Sunday at midnight. That's when we finalize our presentation strategy. Claire closed the folder and slid it across the table. Take this, read it. If you decide you want in, call me. If you decide it's too risky, I understand. But Marcus, she stood gathering her coat. Either way, thank you for the flowers. They're the most honest thing anyone's given me in a very long time. She placed $200 bills on the table. That should cover dinner and the metro ride home. And Marcus? She paused at the edge of the table. Your daughter's consultation at Valley Medical? It's been moved to Monday morning at 9. All costs covered. Consider it a signing bonus, whether you sign or not. Then she was gone, leaving Marcus alone with a folder full of his stolen past and a future he'd stopped believing in 8 months ago. The apartment was dark when Marcus got home. Mrs. Chen from 4B was asleep on the couch, the TV playing late-night infomercials on mute. She'd been watching Lily 3 nights a week. Since Marcus couldn't afford proper childcare, he paid her what he could, $20 a night, and she accepted it with the grace of someone who'd also known what it meant to choose between food and dignity. She's sleeping, Mrs. Chen whispered, collecting her things. She asked about you. I told her you were on a date. What did she say? Mrs. Chen smiled. She said she hopes the lady is nice and doesn't mind that we're poor. I told her the right lady wouldn't mind at all. After she left, Marcus stood in Lily's doorway watching his daughter sleep. Her nightlight cast shadows across her face, a face that looked so much like her mother's it sometimes hurt to look at. But where her mother's eyes had been sharp and restless, Lily's were soft, kind, already beginning to lose their focus as the disease progressed. On her nightstand was a drawing she'd made in art therapy. A figure, Marcus, standing in front of a tall building. The building had stars around it, the way children draw things they think are magical. That's where Daddy works, she'd explained last week. In a building so tall it touches the stars. She didn't know he cleaned those stars, polished them, emptied their trash, but maybe she didn't have to know forever. Marcus went to the kitchen, spread Claire's folder across the table that wobbled on uneven legs, and began to read. The patterns were immediately familiar. His encryption algorithms, slightly modified but fundamentally unchanged. Ashford had added complexity in places that weakened the system, removed elegance where it mattered most. It was like watching someone destroy a symphony by adding random notes, but the core was still there. The heart of what Marcus had built, and in the margins of one of the patent applications he found it, a notation, a code comment that had been imperfectly redacted, 6 lines that proved someone other than Derek Ashford had written the original. Algorithm.6 lines that included Marcus's old username from Virtue Core's development system. 6 lines that Derek Ashford had forgotten to erase. Marcus's hands trembled as he photographed the page with his phone, enlarged it, confirmed what he was seeing. It wasn't just evidence. It was a smoking gun. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I'm guessing you found something. I always could spot a genius in the right lighting. Marcus stared at the message, at the folder, the drawing on Lily's nightstand, at the choice that wasn't really a choice at all. He picked up his phone and dialed. Claire answered on the first ring. That was fast. I found it, Marcus said. The proof. It's buried in Patent Application 8007-42-019, Section 4, Subsection 7. Code commentary that still has my old developer signature. Can you replicate the original code? Prove it's yours? I wrote it in my sleep for 10 years. Marcus looked at his daughter's drawing. I can have the full original algorithm reconstructed by tomorrow night. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then, welcome to Harrington Industries, Marcus. Monday morning, 9 a.m. My office. We have 4 days to destroy Derek Ashford and change your daughter's life. Claire? Yes, thank you. For the flowers and everything else. He could hear her smile through the phone. Thank you for showing up with daisies when you only had $10. It told me everything I needed to know about who you really are. The call ended. Marcus sat in his kitchen, in his falling-apart apartment, in a life that had been slowly drowning for years. And for the first time in 8 months, he felt something he'd forgotten existed. Hope. But in the darkness beyond his window, across the city where glass towers watched over sleeping millions, Derek Ashford was also awake, also planning, also reading reports about a sudden change in Harrington Industries' biotech presentation team, a change that included the name of a ghost, a man who should have stayed buried, a janitor who wasn't a janitor at all, and in a penthouse office overlooking Central Park, Derek Ashford picked up his phone and made a call that would turn Marcus's hope into the most dangerous game of his life. "We have a problem," Ashford said. "Someone found the patents, and they found him." On the other end of the line, a voice spoke words Marcus would hear soon enough, words that would change everything. "Then we move to contingency protocols. If we can't win the bid legally, we'll make sure Harrington Industries can't win it at all, by any means necessary." The phone went dark. The city slept, and Monday morning was coming like a freight train toward a future where someone would win, someone would lose, and a little girl's eyesight hung in the balance of a war between broken men, stolen genius, and a millionaire CEO who'd come to a date with daisies and found a weapon she didn't know she needed. The game was on, and Marcus Webb, janitor, Father Ghost, was all in to be continued.